Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Lab with Matt Carmen. I'm your host, Matt Carmen, Chief Creative Officer here at Fermented Pixels. I also did, hopefully this COVID thing will be over very soon. To push it along a little further, I gave myself this beautiful beard fade. You'll see how lovely a job I did. We even can do things like that. We're so talented here at Fermented Pixels. But all kidding aside, today we spoke with Serure. He is the owner of the company HyQuality Web Design. HyQuality Web Design. You can find it at hyquality.com, and they specialize in e-commerce websites. And during the interview, we talked about following your passion, finding your niche in business, how they dealt with and how to deal with COVID. New technologies that might be affecting the selling process of e-commerce, best marketing practices, and of course, always giving advice for new entrepreneurs. So we hope you enjoy the show. And I now give you, hi. Hello, hi. Welcome to In the Lab. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
It's great
to chat.
Yeah. So I'll jump right in. What is tell us a little bit about your background and history and how you got into the creative field. You know, what made you decide to get into it?
So it all pretty much started in high school. My whole life, I've always been very interested in computers and just fiddling and tinkering. And you know, I just kind of picked it up, really. Right out of high school, I started the business. My best friend actually came up with the name of my company, HyQuality. It's a play on my name.
Yeah,
and I said, okay, cool, let's register the domain name. So, you know, you check out the domain. It's actually registered in 1997.
Wow.
And I just, you know, I started just spreading the word to my local community that I'm building websites. And at the time, you can imagine there weren't that many people doing this.
Yeah.
People didn't, I mean, they understood what websites were, but they didn't understand the value or the importance of them, especially businesses. And it was an uphill battle. It was, you know, it was a hard sell, definitely.
Yeah.
But I got my first client and went with it, and it was a great project. And a couple of years later is when the tech bubble burst. This is back in 2000, 2001, around that time. And I just felt like, this isn't going to work. You know, I'm not going to be able to make a living out of this.
Yeah.
And so I kind of shifted gears for a couple of years. I was doing it on the side here and there. And then another big thing happened in the world with the recession and the real estate, that whole bubble. And at the time I said to myself, you know, and my wife was pushing me all along. She was saying, just do what you love. I mean, this is your passion. It's what you love doing. You always go back to this. Just do it. Don't worry about the money and the whole, you know, if you love
Great
it,
advice.
Just do it.
Great advice.
Exactly. Finally, I listened to her.
Yeah.
And thank God it's been growing ever since. I'm one of those, I wouldn't say I'm a huge agency. I'm not one of these big companies that has 100 to 200 employees where a client will be speaking with, you know, 20 people on a project.
Yeah.
I like to keep it super slim and lean.
Yeah.
And clients appreciate that because they feel like they're having that hands-on experience and that hands-on attention, and it's worked. So I just kind of stuck with it, and that's my history in a nutshell.
That's great. Yeah, I'm actually mine was I'm a late bloomer. You know, I didn't start. What are you drinking? I'm sipping a little whiskey. What do you have? A little wine there?
So, I got a wine. Yeah, I actually took out a beer and I couldn't find my bottle opener, so
Cheers. Yeah. I want to drink a beer, but I got COVID fat, so I'm trying to cut the carbs. So I'm sipping on whiskey and a little water, but I love red wine myself. Anyway, I'm a late bloomer myself. You know, like I always was interested in art, but during high school, I was insecure. I didn't really go to school. I was, you know, smoking weed every day. I barely made it out of high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then finally I took a modern art class. That really opened my mind. And then I found graphic design and I just fell in love with it. And that was not until my late 20s. And after that, it was just straightforward. I wanted to do this, you know, I just love design. So and never looked back again. It was the greatest thing. And there's so many things that, like, so many ways I could have. I almost went into healthcare even. Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many paths I almost went down because, you have to make money, obviously. And I'm just so glad that I actually made that decision to do that later in life. So it was tough, and I had to do it really quick, but I think I got there.
I took a tangent myself for a couple of years into the finance industry.
Okay.
And I was miserable.
Yeah.
I really hated it. It didn't have any creativity really.
Yeah.
And just, it was all about numbers. And I honestly, it just wasn't my thing. And again, my wife pushed me, and finally I listened. So here we are. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I liked healthcare, and I like taking care of people. I mean, I want to do something that actually matters. I want to get up in the morning and have it either so it has to matter, right? Like, you're doing something that actually either passionate about, or you're doing something that matters. But I don't know. Design is obviously the way I had to go. It was just a calling. So what inspired you to start your own agency? Right from the beginning, you started your own agency? Did you work for other companies?
So I've actually never worked for another agency.
Okay.
I've never had that formal training of design or development, really, except for maybe a high school computer science class back in the day.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
C++, but I just, like I said, I started off kind of just doing it here and there on the side, and eventually it just took over my whole time. And that's when I became an agency, believe it or not.
Awesome.
It was kind of that natural. That it just happened. Yeah.
And I've worked. I mean, I went to school for a while because I didn't know what to do, and I worked with a lot of designers that never went to school, and they were amazing. So I mean, I don't think. And I went to just a state school. I didn't go to Pratt or anything like that. I didn't have, I didn't do that well in high school and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be accepted. But I mean, I did fall in love with college at that time. But and just the whole idea of it, learning academics and stuff like that. But I don't think you need it, though. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It really, all that matters is your work and your work ethic, and what you're, and if you have that eye and you have that talent and you have that ability and you have that passion and that drive, then I think that's all that matters.
You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah. So so you guys specialize in e-commerce, right? What made you make that decision? See, I talked before I'm always reading, because I've been working for years in the business. I've been creative director at various agencies, and I never had my own company. So this is like new to me. I only started the company like a year and a half ago. I always wanted to do it, so I finally did it. It's been a rough journey, because I went from doing really well to going back to basics and trying
to one. Yeah.
It's been exciting, and they talk all the time about. I always read every article that you need to specialize in something, and I'm like, I don't want to specialize in any industry. I don't want to do that because I'll get bored. I love corporate design. I'm more like on the creative side, but I love all kinds of industries. I don't want to focus on any industry. And I think it's really interesting that you just focused on e-commerce, because you have the ability to, you're still focused. You have a niche, but you're working in all different industries. So you're not getting bored, So what was that? What was the catalyst that made you decide to do that?
So for a very long time, I was a generalist, like you're saying, just kind of anyone who came to me for any kind of project, whether it's e-commerce, just a basic website, a social network, a membership site, any kind of project. I considered it. I took it on. So after a while, I probably saw the same articles you saw, where, you need to have a specialty. You need to be focused in all of that.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Let me give this a try. I tried different things. At one point, I was trying to specialize in a specific industry, the fashion industry, and that had its own challenges. But after a while, I was noticing that the e-commerce industry as a whole was just exploding, and this was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. just everyone coming to me, they were all just, I want to sell this, I want to sell that, and it just really was taking off. And, before that, I was doing some e-commerce projects. I was mainly using Magento as the professional platform at the time.
Yeah.
And over a couple of years, that all shifted to Shopify, as you probably know all the buzz around Shopify.
I do.
And Magento,
I have for you.
Yeah.
We mostly use Magento and WooCommerce, but we'll get onto that. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I use Magento since 2008 or so, and it was always such a pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah.
Not only to build on, but for my clients to just manage on a day-to-day to use it.
Yeah.
It's just not a friendly system at all. Yeah. And it's, self-hosted, and there's all sorts of issues with that, dealing with that. It was just a headache all around, for me at least, for my clients.
It's good. It's still true that it's good for, like, if you have a lot of products, if you have lots and lots of products, do you think that it matters still, or is that something that's just an old school thought?
I wouldn't necessarily say that that's a factor anymore. When Shopify was, at least when I first started using Shopify, it was a very kind of young system, and it was limited in certain areas, and that was one of the considerations, was the size of the catalog.
Yep.
These days, however, they've really grown up a lot over the past 1 or 2 years, especially. They've been rolling out new features all the time and expanding and giving more flexibility and scalability, and it's a great platform. I mean,
really, yeah.
I would say it's 90-something% of my business right now.
Okay, great. Shopify. Yeah, I know everyone's moving in a way. So
so a few years back,
it's very customizable. I mean, we do work in it, but I've only have experience mostly in Magento and WooCommerce, because my team just loves that. So, but it has that custom, like we do very, very custom sites. So everything is like, I got to have control of every little pixel. So I think Shopify has that, right?
Shopify has that these days. Certain things on the back end you may be uncomfortable with. Where, you kind of have to do things in a roundabout way, just because it's a cloud-based platform. Everyone's sharing that same backend. And so they have to kind of streamline and make it uniform for everybody to use in the same way. So if you want to, let's say, add custom fields for a product or something, you need to do that with an app that ties into the backend, and then you need a browser extension to display those fields in the backend, and then you can then modify and edit it and do. So it's kind of like I said, it's like a workaround almost.
Yeah.
But they are growing tremendously, and they did announce a whole bunch of new features that are, they're rolling out over time to all their merchants. So
and it's much more, it's cost effective too, right? I mean,
cost effective, no headaches as far as servers or security or anything like that. They handle everything. Clients love it because it's super easy to use.
Yeah.
That's another big thing. And it's just great. So over the past few years, people were just, I want to sell this, I want to sell that. And I said, you know what? Maybe this is my message here to focus in on that. So
that makes sense.
There was one point where I just kind of shifted all the messaging on our site to be e-commerce focused. And then all those leads that were coming in started, becoming e-commerce.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
That's awesome. So you do development and design? Are you on both sides, or I'm just creative? I mean, I had to do development when I was in school, and I hated it. So I'm just creative now. But you do development yourself? No, you're in the code.
Yeah. So I personally, I can design and code. I would say light coding is probably a good way to put it, because I focus more on managing the projects and managing the team and managing the clients. So that's my main focus, but I do jump in there. I can code, I can do whatever I need to do. And I have my staff. I have, 2 designers, 3 developers. Like I said, we're not a huge team.
Yeah. I mean,
same thing. For the most part, that's a good thing. And we're quick. We do good work, and it shows.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I like some, I was looking at, there was one, the Platable. That was really great. And then another
Plantable, yes.
Yeah, I love the font that you used on that site. That was excellent. And then the other one you did for the billiards company. I forget the name of it. That was really
Black Billiards.
nice and classic.
We just launched that recently. That was a big project. Took
nice.
a very long time because their catalog is pretty big.
Yeah,
nice. You can actually build a custom table right on the website. You know, all the different components and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to check it out more. That sounds pretty cool. I mean, I understand. Like I went to school. And I did. I understand the back end stuff. I know what can and can't be done, but it's like my brain doesn't work that way. I'm just a creative guy, so I'd rather just focus on that kind of stuff, brand development and stuff like that. So let's jump ahead. What were some of the changes during the COVID crisis here that we had? What did you guys? How were you guys hit with that? And what kind of changes did you make?
So, you know, a lot of people have been asking me that, you know, how's your business during COVID and all that stuff? And my answer is always the same. It's always, you know, you have some people that were just kind of frozen in fear, you know, that we're in survival mode. We can't talk to you right now. Everything's shut down. We're trying not to, you know, to stay afloat. And then there are other people that were like, I need to get online right now. I need to do this. I need to do that. You know, they're trying to take advantage of the moment, you know, of everyone shifting to e-commerce online, because really that's what happened. And of course, nobody was ready for this. No one was prepared for what we got hit with. So it's kind of like a mix of both ends of the spectrum. And so, you know, it was a little bit challenging to kind of, you know, of course, I reached out to everybody, reached out to existing clients, reached out to potential clients, and just, you know, gauge where they're at, you know, how we can help, maybe not necessarily with a project right now, but if there's anything we can help with as far as their fulfillment solution or, you know, just kind of streamlining their processes, anything like that we can help with, just trying to help in any way possible. And, you know, of course, we didn't have any in-person meetings. We all working remotely. And the truth is, I mean, I feel like at this point, maybe, of course, besides the initial meeting with the client, you know, the first meeting, I feel like in-person meetings are kind of obsolete now. I mean, they're just kind of like a waste of time almost. You know, you can do everything real quick on like on Zoom like this, or just much quicker. So
I do think that there's still something special about seeing someone actually in person, but I think that's important for the first meeting, like you said. But you're right. I mean, with the technology today and what, you know, make things easier. I mean, it makes no sense to, you know, meet people all the time. So that first meeting, though, I think is really important. That's pretty interesting. We've been struggling a little bit, but we still have some good clients, and they're big enough to keep us afloat. So it's been okay. We can't wait till it's over, though. I mean, personally, not even from a business standpoint. It's just it sucks. You know, I want to go out.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand wearing a mask, all that kind of stuff. So you know, it's not natural too. Like people walk by each other, and then you notice like when you're walking by somebody, you like go this way. You know? Like it's not you know, it's not natural for humans to do that. You know, we're social creatures. So I think it's good that it's ending now. So things are going to open up. The gym's going to open up on the 1st, I hear. You know? So that's going to be.
I just saw a post today. Actually, there's a gym, I think in California or somewhere, that set up these pods. No, like inside the gym, they have these like bubble pods, and each person is in a pod doing their exercises and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that looks very hot and sweaty.
That looks ridiculous. That sounds ridiculous. I mean, I think well, I won't go into that. That's politics. But anyway, we might have went too far. But anyway, it's good to be safe. So the whip. See, I want to skip those questions. I asked you that. What are the new technologies and the changing ways people are shopping online? And what do you think what's going to be the future of shopping online? This is just obviously just, you know, whatever, free form, just go out there. Obviously, nobody knows what the future is going to be like. But what do you see in the future for, you know, for shopping online and in stores, and how technology is going to affect that? Obviously, it's going to be big. But what do you see? I mean, what do you think is going to be?
Well, I think what we've already seen is that everything shifted from brick and mortar over to e-commerce, and I feel like a lot of those those trends are going to continue. Even if the virus goes away, we have a vaccine, everything improves.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's going to be, web first or e-commerce first, and then store second, meaning the store will support the website. So they place an order on the website, they can pick it up in the store or something along those lines. I feel like that's the way it's going to shift from being, oh, the website is just a nice to have, a secondary way of placing an order through a merchant. It's going to be the primary way, I believe. And a lot of reports have come out that say that the e-commerce industry as a whole has jumped about 10 years into the future from this whole thing. Just in terms of the way people are thinking, the way people are shopping, and all of the businesses that, the way they shifted their business to focus on their e-commerce site primarily.
Yeah, that makes sense. So those are the changes that are going to stick, right? They're going to stay with us, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have all these really cool tools. Like you can try, they have all the augmented reality tools where you can kind of see things in your own room, or, you want to try on a pair of glasses, you can do that right on the screen.
Yeah.
Showing your face with the glasses overlaid on top. You can try before you buy. They have that, all of that on websites now. Rentals. I've seen product rentals. So people are really getting very creative.
Yeah, and even in-store, like obviously like Amazon has the in-store apps and stuff like that. I haven't gone there, but
me neither.
Walk around and you could just kind of like use your phone for the augmented reality and stuff like that. So I definitely see that. I do think people need to get out of the house. So there's going to be something something kind of sad about not leaving your house all the time. I mean, it's great to be like, why waste your time going to the doctor or something like that? Something silly, right? That would like ruin your whole day. Like back in the day, like 2 years ago. But, like if you had a doctor's appointment and you had to take like a half a day off of work, now you could just, it's silly now to do that, right? When you could just do it and have it done with in a half hour. But I still think people need that kind of connection with people, but I think that technology is going to be incorporated in that, and that's going to be really interesting. So I don't know. I find that fascinating how that's going to work.
Telemedicine is definitely going to change. It's going to become a big player, I believe. Just with my kids, I have 4 children, ranging from toddler to teenager.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, we had doctor appointments, we had dermatologist appointments, we had, I have an infection on my hand or whatever, just small little things like that, that you could do right over the screen and not have to take a whole trip and go sit in an office with the germs and wait online, wait your turn and all that. It's just, it can be done much.
Waste your whole day and travel and all that kind of stuff. So that stuff is silly. But I do think there's still going to be something that's going to be about that interaction between people, But
definitely.
It's going to be interesting though to watch it happen. I'm looking forward to seeing it. What have you found to be the most successful marketing things that you've done, like to market your company? So we're a new company. We're trying to market ourselves. Like I said, I worked for other companies and I didn't handle that at all. So I just kind of sat back and did the creative, and other people did the sales and stuff like that. So it's interesting to me to find out about that. And what did you find? Obviously, that's what you guys specialize in, because you do the whole process from building the site to marketing it, to everything. What was the biggest thing that really helped you guys with marketing?
I would say a big part of it is just a little bit of everything, doing a little bit of everything, being everywhere. So I've had people reach out to me and say, wow, I've seen you all over the place. I've seen you on Facebook. I've seen you on my feed. I've seen an ad on Google. I've seen, just a little bit of everything just really helps a lot. So these days we've been doing a lot of LinkedIn promotion, posting pretty often there, reaching out to people, making connections, doing networking events. And of course, word of mouth is the strongest referral you could possibly have. That takes a little time to build up until you have your clientele and, they're happy But I think the best way to do it is to just really promote yourself everywhere that you can. Make as many connections and partnerships as you can with other companies, other industries. And yeah, and just client reviews, making clients happy, of course, and then getting the reviews and sharing those with everybody.
And then asking them for references as well, right? Do you do that?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have prospects ask me for references all the time. I'm happy to provide them, and they reach out to them because those clients come back to me and say, hey, I just gave you a good reference for this new client, hope it works out. So yeah, it's definitely you need to have those strong relationships with clients so that they can help you grow.
Yeah. So what is your actually, I know that I didn't, well, anyway, what is your process? Like, how do you start? Like, so let's say you get a new customer. What's the first thing you do? Do you have like, a process that you guys do that's step by step, or?
Yeah, I mean, we keep things super simple. We don't add extra steps and use all these acronyms and big words that people are using these days. We're kind of old school in that sense. It's just a very streamlined, common sense kind of an approach. So the first thing we'll focus on is design. So we'll have a meeting at the beginning of the project where we'll discuss, we'll look at some other websites together for inspiration. We'll say, I like this, I don't like this.
Yeah.
That's everything from design, layout, color scheme, fonts, imagery, image style, the way the products are displayed and where they're displayed, and just the general flow of the website. So we'll go through all of that stuff together. And then usually we're pretty much on the same page as far as what we're looking for design wise. So we'll then come back to the client a few days later with a fully designed mock-up. So, there was a period of time where we were doing wireframes and clients were just kind of looking at it and being like, what is this? How's my website? All I want to see is how is the website going to look when it's finished?
Really?
So,
okay. You skipped
what I mean? So
yeah. So that's interesting.
Unless you're dealing with a creative person, like a design person, they just, they have trouble visualizing sometimes. So they just want to see the end product. So we just jump right into it, give them fully designed mock-ups, typically the key pages like the home page, a product page, a category page. And then, we'll go back and forth a little bit, make some tweaks here and there. And then once they're fully approved the design, we then jump right into development. So, we'll take those mock-ups, make them into fully living, breathing websites. And, of course, there's a lot of work that goes into that. I'm simplifying everything, but
yeah, of course.
There's testing involved. So we'll test it on different browsers, different devices, different types of order situations. So if someone's placing an order, if let's say they go put it in their cart and they come back a week later, we try all the
I know. I could definitely see that.
Try and cover everything.
But
of course, you never cover everything. There's always something.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many devices and so many things out there. But I mean, I went through a lot of your sites, and they definitely work great. That's one of the things. It's funny you mentioned that because wireframes. I mean, I'm still a big believer in wireframes and information architecture and stuff like that. So, and it's a difficult thing to present to clients in the beginning, right? It's like one of those things because they're like, "What is this? It's all gray." So
there's boxes everywhere.
And it's like, a box with an X, what does that mean? So I try to educate my clients. I still think that the wireframing, components are important. But I think it's cool that you guys go right to that. But what I try to do is make my wireframes really designed well. So like if we try to do like really high end wireframes, so that and then we explain it like really well, so they understand. So we try to. It's like kind of half a design, but half a wireframe. So it's not like one of those, like, just, some wireframes are just like box here with an X and we don't do that kind of stuff. So we try to make it look like a design and to make sure that we've captured everything. But that's pretty interesting the way you go from that.
Everyone has their own way that works for them.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And, we actually kind of do use wireframes internally. We just don't share them with the client because they don't really, it doesn't really help them. That's not what they're looking to see. But it's kind of integrated into the design itself. Like you were saying, it's kind of like a hybrid. So I guess, yeah, we kind of do wireframes.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense why. I mean, I understand that's the biggest challenge you have is because like when you first get a client, right, what we do is we do a creative brand workshop because we try to focus on branding, messaging too. We do a lot of that, but we sit down with the client, and then of course after you have this great meeting and they, they're happy, and then the first thing you show them is a wireframe, and it's all gray and there's like it's it's a little underwhelming sometimes, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of cool that you just go right to design. So that's something to think about. So what advice would you give? Like just general, like I mean, well, I keep saying podcast. It's a YouTube show. We're gonna turn it into a podcast eventually, but right now it's just YouTube. But what would you? We always ask this all about. I think the main theme here is because we interviewed tons, different types of people, all different industries. What would be the biggest advice you would give a new entrepreneur, like someone starting out wants to start their own company? I mean, it's a different world, right? So what would you say would be your biggest advice that you would give somebody starting a company?
So I've worked with a lot of startups and small businesses, as well as large, well-known brands. But as far as the startups go, I've seen this so many times that they spend a whole lot on the website and they focus so much on, attention and money on the website, but then they don't even think about or they don't allocate enough budget for marketing. And marketing, without marketing, you have nothing. I mean, it was just a waste of time, waste of money, waste of energy. The marketing is the key. And I've seen so many times. And, it's kind of, I guess, counterintuitive where, you kind of you build this whole website and you sit back and kind of wait for the sales to start.
Yeah, like they're going to just magically come to you.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, if you build it, they will come, right? But they don't. I mean, the web is so huge these days, and people's attention spans are so short that if you don't grab them immediately, you lost them already. I think it's something like 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, we call it the 7-second rule here, but so we talked when we meet clients. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
When we first meet a client, we tell them that you have 7 seconds to establish. They have to land on your site. I mean, not load time, but once the site is loaded, I mean, you only have like 3 seconds to load it, I guess. I mean, but once the site has loaded, they need to understand who you are, what are your differentiators, what are you about, what do you sell, and how do I proceed? All that stuff has to happen like that, right? Because people have the attention of a goldfish today. So.
Exactly. But even before that, just allowing them to find you, to know that you exist, to know what you are, that you're there, and what you do and what you're offering. Is the most important part. So I have some people reaching out to me and saying I want to spend a couple of $100 a month for marketing, and I explained to them, I'm more than happy to do that for you, to help you with that, but it's really not going to give you any result that you're looking for. So
you got to spend thousands, right?
Easily. I mean, and it's an ongoing thing. It's not something you do it once and then it just works. You really, really have to continuously kind of evolve and shift and grow and change and, redirect your attention and try different things. So it's really, that's where you should be putting your most of your efforts.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So for our industry, what do you think is the most effective? I'm cheating now, getting you. Seriously, Google is a little. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't love it. It's all right.
Google Ads.
Google Ads, obviously. But what do you think is the most effective for, or at least the advertising industry, the creative industry?
I think referrals and word of mouth is definitely the biggest by far. It's the strongest, I should say. So, we've partnered with other agencies where they brought us in to handle the build out of the site while they're handling the PR or the branding or whatever, so that's a very strong lead. That's a great way to work. So like I said, partnering with people, just reaching out, speaking with people all the time, and just, that's the way you get in people's brains. And just, whenever they hear about, there's this creative project, oh, let me call Matthew, so
Yeah.
It's
That's
there's
kind
a
of why
lot
we're
of
doing
that.
it.
What's that?
I mean, that's why we're doing this, really. I mean, we want to talk to people, we want to get relationships, but that's really,
Exactly.
kind of
I mean,
why we're doing this. Yeah. So.
this is great. Yeah. I've actually been involved with, there's a guy in our industry who organizes these networking events.
Yeah.
And recently, with everything happening, he shifted everything to Zoom. And he was one of the first people that I've seen that started using the breakout rooms, where you can kind of go one-on-one with a person into these separate Zoom sessions, and just chat one-on-one with these people and say, hey, what do you do? How's your business work? What can I do for you? How can we work together? So it was very interesting to see
Yeah,
that
that's cool.
online. And I met a lot of great people. I've actually stayed pretty connected with them since then. This is about a month and a half ago. So it was great. So yeah, those types
That's
of things
excellent. Yeah.
definitely help.
Yeah, we've done a few of those. I mean, I haven't had too much success, but we've met some great people. I mean, it seems like everyone there is always everyone else is looking for work, and it's just like a bunch of people looking for work. But
It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes, But so did you do any cold calling or just like reach out to people and stuff like that? Like, how did you partner with those companies? What was?
So occasionally I'll look through my LinkedIn connections and just reach out to some people that, may need our services for various reasons, whether they already have an existing Shopify site and they're looking
Yeah.
to optimize it and, maybe roll out a new feature or something like that. Or if I see a business that has a website, you can clearly tell it's 20 years old and they put no effort into it. And, maybe they want to take it to the next level. So, those types of people, I'll reach out to them, just kind of reaching out cold email or cold message,
Yeah.
and just say, hey, this is what we do. We'd love to work with you. This is how we can help you. Let's chat. It's a numbers game, really. So you'll just reach out to a whole bunch of people. You'll get a few people who respond. And
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. We've been thinking about doing that. I mean, we have done it a little bit. So just reaching out, just looking around there's so many companies with bad sites out there. I mean,
oh, yeah.
So much bad design. It's
Yep. A lot of opportunity for us.
yes, absolutely. So so the specific what would you be your specific advice for web design or digital agency? I guess we kind of went over that already. That's a question I had, but specific for
I personally
would be advice for
I personally, I mentioned earlier, I'm a small agency. I'm personally a fan of keeping it lean and keeping it small. There are pros and cons to that, of course, and pros and cons to the other side as well. So, I guess, keep it just super clean, super simple. That's the way to start, at least. And then, of course, you can grow from there. Rather than some of these other agencies that they start out of the gate with, many employees and many, processes and things that they just throw at, what they're reading about in these articles and learning in school and all that isn't necessarily the best approach.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's actually getting in there and actually doing the work. I mean,
exactly.
Let's face it. You learn the most.
Clients happy. That's all it is. Keeping clients happy, giving them the value that they're expecting, and that's it.
Awesome. So that brings me. I guess we went really fast. Well, not too bad. So this is a question I kind of always ask, just like a silly question. What is your favorite ice cream? No, I'm kidding. What is your favorite part of, like being a business owner? What do you love the most? Like, it's just like, what do you really like? Are you like design is your passion? Like what part of your job do you really just look forward to every day? And is that the reason why, like your wife told you got to do this because you love it, right? Where is that passion that really drives you?
So I would say I've always loved building things my whole life. I'm not a very handy guy, but just in general, I like building and tinkering and kind of tweaking things. That's always been my thing. And I also like watching businesses grow and helping them to grow. So the two go hand in hand. Like I said, I work with a lot of startups, and they're either they're a startup or they're a company that just never had a website before. Or they have a really terrible website. and just kind of helping them to get their brand online, get out there, get all the tools they need to grow and to succeed. So once, we get to the end of a project, it's always like, we take a step back together and we look at it and we say, wow, this really came out great. This is going to work out well for you. And, if there's some things we need to change down the road, we can definitely do that, of course. I always like to keep that long-term relationship open with my clients. Of course, some people are just looking for the one-off project, the quick project, and that's it. But, for the most part, I like to, keep that ongoing relationship going. So yeah, I mean, just that feeling of, just accomplishment when you finish the whole project. The client's super happy, they're ecstatic, they're excited, they're ready to just go start selling and go start, getting new leads, new orders, whatever it may be. It's a great feeling. And you get the review from them and they just write all this amazing stuff about you, and it's like, oh wow, okay, great, they really appreciate you. It's a good feeling.
Oh, that's great. So you love both sides, right? Like the creative and the development and all the things you do. I know you guys do a lot of different services, from like you build it and then all the way through growth and all the different marketing.
So me personally, I do a little of both, but I guess I tend to lean a little bit more towards the design side, the creative side. A little bit. The coding side I do enjoy, but I guess not as much. When you get to those kind of situations where you have one little something, a period or something that's off, and the whole thing's broken, and you're trying to just find it, and it's driving you crazy. And then finally, you find it, and you feel a lot better, and you're like, okay, yes, I got it. But that up until that point, it's a little, sometimes it's a little stressful or frustrating. But the design is just, much more creative process, and you're really free to just like explore and try out different things, and it's really nice. I'm sure you can relate to that, of course.
Clearly I'm more of design side. It's funny you mentioned that too, because I always tell the same story. Like when I was going to school doing my thesis, I had to do a lot of PHP, and I'd be like, there's like one dot off, and I was like, and it literally destroys everything, and you're like sitting there for 5 hours trying to figure out where that went, and then it'll tell you that it's on line 46, but it's actually on line 40. It's actually, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't. And luckily, I think I have enough design talent and to be able to step away from it, or I just wasn't for me. I mean, I still love technology, and I find it super fascinating how it works. I get it. But it's my brain doesn't work that way. Obviously I'm more like scatterbrain, creative kind of person. So, it's funny though. I always tell that same story though. It's like one dot's off. The whole thing doesn't work, and then you're sitting there for like 8 hours trying to figure it out. And I was like, okay, this is not for me.
Ripping your hair out like you just.
It was a great learning experience though.
That definitely.
So it's been a great chat, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. This was great.
It was really cool. You have anything you want to add? Tell people, throw out there how to reach you guys. What's your URL? Obviously, you can tell them that if they want to check out any of your social, whatever you want to sell. Just
sure.
Say
you can find this on the web, HyQuality.com, HyQuality. Check out some of our services, our portfolio, and we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I'm going to stop recording, but we'll chat a little bit after I stop recording too. So,
all right.
We'll say goodbye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for being on, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
You got it.